Marriage has always been painted as the ultimate achievement for a man. The happy ceremony, the vows, the smiling photographs. Society tells you, this is what you should aim for, this is what proves you are complete. But what if the story isn't as beautiful as it looks? What if behind the ring, the promises, and the smiles lies a system that quietly puts men at risk, financially, emotionally, and legally? Let's start with something real. Imagine you're 28 years old. You've worked for years, saved carefully, maybe even started your own small business. You meet someone, fall in love, and after a few years of dating, marriage feels like the natural next step. Everyone encourages you. Your parents are proud. Your friends congratulate you. You buy the ring, make the vows, and step into what feels like the safest commitment of your life. Fast forward 10 years. The relationship has changed. Arguments become normal. Affection turns into cold silence. And then one day, she files for divorce. You didn't expect it, but statistically, you should have. Research shows that the majority of divorces are initiated by women. And once the papers are filed, the game is no longer love, it's law. Suddenly, the wealth you built is divided. The house you paid for is split. Custody arrangements are decided by courts, not by you. The system steps in, and you realize the vows you made don't protect you, but the contract you signed can destroy you. And here's the brutal truth. This is not some rare nightmare. It is the silent reality of millions of men. The stories are everywhere. Men who lost half of everything overnight, who were pushed into alimony payments that lasted decades, who saw their children only on weekends while being painted as villains. This is why many men today are beginning to question marriage altogether. Because marriage, in modern society, is not just about love, it's about risk. In this series, we're going to break down exactly why men should think twice before signing that piece of paper. We'll explore the financial traps, the emotional manipulation, the legal system stacked against men, and why more and more men are walking away from marriage completely. This isn't about bitterness. It isn't about hating women. It's about awareness. Because if you walk into a burning building thinking it's safe, you can't be surprised when you get burned. So ask yourself, do you truly know what marriage means today? Or are you still holding on to a fairy tale that no longer exists? Marriage is sold to men as the ultimate dream. A loving wife, a happy home, and lifelong companionship. But when you strip away the fantasy, the reality is much harsher, especially for men in the United States, the UK, and across the Western world. Let me tell you this terrifying truth. In the US, nearly 50% of marriages end in divorce. In the UK, it's about 42%. But here's the detail. Women initiate divorce around 70 to 80% of the time. That means men are not walking away from marriage. Women are. Why? Because in modern society, women hold more leverage in family courts, financial settlements, and custody battles. Think about it. A man invests years into building a career, providing for his family and creating stability. Yet if his wife decides she's unhappy, she can leave. And he's left paying alimony, child support, and in many cases, losing his children. He becomes an outsider in the very family he built. Let's look at real examples. Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, lost $38 billion in his divorce. Dr. Dre was ordered to pay his ex-wife $3.5 million per year in spousal support. These are extreme cases, yes, but they reflect the same system an average man faces. Even a man earning $50,000 a year can be reduced to living in a small apartment, while his ex-wife lives comfortably with financial support from him, and it doesn't stop there. In modern relationships, many women are encouraged by culture, media, and even TikTok trends to trade up, to leave if a man is no longer giving them the lifestyle they feel they deserve. This is known as hypergamy, the pursuit of a higher status partner. Once a man's value is used, he's discarded. Consider this. Studies show that married men report lower levels of happiness after the first few years, while women's happiness often remains dependent on what they receive in the marriage. emotional attention, financial stability, or social benefits. Men become workhorses. Women become evaluators. And this is the trap. Society conditions men to believe marriage equals maturity and success. But for many men, marriage today is not a union of love. It's a contract of control. A contract where one side risks everything and the other side can walk away with no real consequence. If you're a man listening right now, you must ask yourself, is marriage really about love anymore? Or is it a gamble where the house always wins? Understand this, the game is rigged, and you're the one funding the table. Marriage doesn't only collapse in the courtroom. For many men, it collapses long before. The problem is what happens inside the marriage itself. Modern relationships are filled with subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, forms of manipulation. One of the most common is emotional blackmail. A wife may withhold affection, intimacy, or even simple kindness until she gets what she wants. This creates a cycle where the man is constantly working, providing, or apologizing. Not because he did something wrong, but because he's trying to keep the peace. Then comes weaponized intimacy. Countless married men admit that physical closeness becomes transactional. It's no longer about love. It's about leverage. Intimacy becomes a bargaining chip. Do this for me, then maybe tonight. And if he refuses, he's made to feel guilty, inadequate, or selfish. Social pressure plays its role too. Many wives compare their husbands to others. The neighbor who bought his wife a bigger house. The friend whose husband takes her on exotic vacations. Slowly, the man begins to feel he is never enough, no matter how much he sacrifices. This constant comparison chips away at his self-worth until he doubts his own value. Here's the trap. Men enter marriage believing they're signing up for partnership. But too often, they end up in compliance training, taught to say yes, to avoid conflict, to absorb the blame. And society cheers it on, telling men to be better husbands without ever asking what they are enduring in silence. Take a step back and notice the pattern. A man builds, provides, and sacrifices. And yet he's the one who ends up controlled by the very person he thought he was protecting. So let me leave you with this. Is marriage today about love or about leverage? Is it about partnership or about power? Before we continue, let me ask you to hit that subscribe button, because the truth no one dares to say belongs here. Now we enter the part most men dread, the legal and financial consequences that often hit long before love fades. When a man signs a marriage certificate, he's not just promising love. He's entering a legal contract that can profoundly impact his future, and in this contract, the odds are often stacked against him. Men are more likely than women to pay alimony and child support, sometimes for decades. Courts often calculate payments based on the higher-earning spouse, meaning a man could be required to pay thousands monthly, even if his partner also earns income. Custody is another area where men face systemic disadvantages. Mothers are granted primary custody most of the time. Child support obligations can drain a father's income while reducing his time and influence with his own children. The combination of legal precedent, social expectations, and financial obligations can turn marriage into a high-stakes risk. One disagreement, one misstep, and a man can see his home, savings, and lifestyle drastically altered. Some partners use the legal framework as leverage. Filing first, initiating temporary custody orders, or consulting lawyers early can shift negotiation power before the man even has a say. It's a reality many men experience quietly, leaving long-term consequences. So before the marriage, ask yourself, do I fully understand the legal and financial structure I'm committing to? And how can I protect myself from these risks before it's too late? You meet her in college. She's smart, ambitious, and everything seems perfect. You graduate, build a career, and by 28, you're married. Life feels stable, until the comparisons start. You see it first on social media, friends posting pictures of luxury vacations, bigger houses, partners with higher-paying jobs. Subtle comments creep in at home. Why can't we live like that? Don't you want to provide better for the family? Suddenly, the life you've built feels like it's never enough. Modern society doesn't just normalize marriage, it glorifies it. Social media feeds, TikTok trends, and influencer culture paint an idealized version: perfect weddings, Instagram-worthy couples, and luxury lifestyles. But the truth behind the screen is often very different. Men are measured not just by how much they love, but by what they provide, how they perform socially, and how well they match their partner's rising expectations. This is where hypergamy comes into play, the tendency to seek a partner of equal or higher status. In today's world, it's subtle but pervasive. A woman may consciously or unconsciously compare her husband to wealthier, more attractive, or more socially connected men. And if he falls short, the relationship dynamic shifts. He's no longer an equal partner. He becomes a provider under constant evaluation. Imagine a man working a stable 9-to-5 job, saving for a family home and supporting his wife's lifestyle. Meanwhile, she scrolls through Instagram and sees friends married to men with higher-paying jobs, bigger houses, or more exciting lives. Subtle comparisons creep in. Why isn't our life more like theirs? She may start criticizing his spending, questioning his ambition, or suggesting he isn't trying hard enough, all while portraying a perfect marriage online. Or again, take this man. He buys a small car to match their budget, but his wife's friend drives a luxury SUV. Suddenly, social expectations create pressure to upgrade. Complaints about lifestyle, spending, or keeping up appearances become tools to push the man to provide more, often beyond what he anticipated or is comfortable with. Social pressure amplifies this effect. Couples are constantly performing for friends, family, and online audiences. Men feel the weight of these expectations, pressured to maintain appearances while privately navigating emotional manipulation, financial control, and legal risk. The constant scrutiny can erode self-esteem, making men more compliant and less likely to challenge unfair treatment. It's no surprise, then, that many men are opting out of marriage entirely. They see the legal, financial, and emotional costs and weigh them against autonomy, freedom, and the ability to build a life on their own terms. Some delay marriage indefinitely, others cohabit without formal ties, and some decide that freedom is more valuable than societal approval. The reality is clear. Marriage today is not just a union of love. For many men, it's a strategic gamble where the risks often outweigh the benefits. Men are waking up to the patterns, understanding that preparation, awareness, and caution are not just smart, they're essential. Think about this. In a world where expectations are high, legal systems favor one side, and social pressures manipulate perception, is the traditional marriage model still worth the cost? You've seen it all now. The emotional manipulation, the financial and legal traps, the social pressures, and the subtle ways marriage can work against men. The question isn't just why men should think twice, it's how they can protect themselves if they decide to marry at all. First, understand the stakes. Knowledge is power. Walk into marriage with your eyes wide open. Know the laws in your country, understand how custody and alimony work, and be aware of the potential for emotional manipulation. Don't ignore red flags early. Patterns that seem small at first often escalate over time. Second, protect your financial autonomy. Consider keeping separate accounts, setting clear boundaries about spending, and, if you choose, a prenup. This isn't cynical, it's practical. It ensures that your contributions are fair and your future isn't jeopardized by unforeseen circumstances. Third, focus on emotional intelligence. Learn to communicate clearly, set boundaries, and recognize manipulation. Understand the archetypes we discussed: emotional withholder, financial gatekeeper, social reputation player, procedural strategist. Knowing these patterns doesn't make you paranoid. It makes you prepared. Fourth, observe before committing. Live together long enough to truly understand compatibility and patterns. Don't rush. Take the time to see how conflicts are resolved, how financial decisions are made, and how pressures are handled. Finally, embrace autonomy and self-respect. The world may push narratives of romance and perfection, but a man who values his freedom, dignity, and well-being is never foolish for walking away from a path that endangers them. Marriage can be beautiful, but only when entered wisely, with eyes wide open and with clear boundaries. The truth is simple, but often ignored. Society celebrates weddings, not the survival of men's futures. If you choose marriage, make it deliberate. If you choose not to, understand that it's often the wisest decision in today's world. So here's the takeaway. Don't walk blindly. Study, plan, observe, and protect yourself. Love and partnership can exist, but never at the cost of your life, freedom, or peace of mind. Meditate on that.